Okay, welcome everybody to the 2017 DECP conference. It's wonderful to see so many people here today, and it's an opportunity for us to reflect on the process of this year and some of the activities that the DECP has been involved in and engaged in. As you know, there has been a kind of political vortex in 2016, huge changes, and we had a green paper launched just after the referendum for Brexit, and there was the suggestion of the possibility of returning to selective education, something that we felt very passionately about, and the DECP put together a very decisive response to the green paper that Charmian Hobbs, our past chair, led on. We've also had a recent consultation about the role of education in mental health. You will have been aware that Theresa May was talking on Monday about the notion of a mental health first aid kit. Again, we've responded to that, and I think we were very concerned about highlighting the role of an educational psychologist in particular in helping schools to make sense of children's behaviour in context, and to be very clear about there not being the need to develop yet another professional group, but to actually think about enhancing the numbers of EPs so that we can support schools in their work with children's mental health. I think we were also keen to highlight the fact that for a lot of children, life has become incredibly stressful. We continue to feature in the lower levels of measures of children's well-being that the UNESCO report comments on regularly. Our children are highly stressed, and I think it's important that we don't pathologise children, that we actually recognise some of the stresses in the systems in which they live. So I think as educational psychologists, we've got lots to say about all the things that are very much in the media interest right now. I'm going to just mention to you 3 books, and I'm just going to go and collect them because you are going to be in receipt of some late Christmas presents from the committee. To tie in beautifully with the current interest in children's mental health, I'm delighted to say that we are going to be launching this evening in the reading room at 6:45, accompanied by drinks, so do please come, Delivering Psychological Therapies in Schools and Communities. This is guidance that Julia Hardy and Sandra Dunsmuir have worked on with representatives of our profession, and it provides very timely guidance on how to develop and support the delivery of psychological practice. If you come to the book launch this evening, you will receive your free copy to take back with you. Another really innovative and groundbreaking book that you will be given free of charge as well is Using Qualitative Research to Hear the Voice of Children and Young People. You'll be aware that there's been a great deal of emphasis on the rights of children and the importance of involving them in the research process. And this book provides some amazing examples of how to do this in practice. I'm pretty sure this is going to become a bestseller. We gave it to the trainee conference yesterday, and I'm pretty sure that I'm going to see some quite interesting thesis studies when I go to examine in the next few years. It's a wonderful book, and again, this is something that Julia Hardy and Charmian Hobbs have worked tirelessly to produce. You will have your free copies, and you will remember our book, The First 100 Years, that we launched in 2013 to mark the centenary of our profession. This is a republication of it. Again, you will receive your copy tonight. So lots of gifts to take away. And I'm highlighting that because it's really important to recognise the huge contribution that people make whilst working on the committee. And I want to now embarrass a few people by acknowledging their contribution. In particular, I want to thank Simon Gibbs, who has been the editor of our amazing journal educational and child psychology. He's going to stand down from the editor post after many years in which he has made that into the most outstanding publication, and something that I think features very heavily in supporting the evidence base for our professional practice. I also want to comment on Pete Clough, who has been leading on the CPD strand of the committee activity for some time now. So those of you who've come up for some of the training events, Pete is standing down as well, but I want to acknowledge his input, and also that of Philip Pryor, who has supported making the conferences an amazing hit and providing some very useful input to our consultations. Now, just moving on to some of the routine information that we need in conferences, just to say that after our keynote speaker today, the workshops will commence. And when you move back into the foyer where we've just had coffee, you'll find signs to guide you to the various rooms. 3 of the rooms are on the ground floor, but there is a 4th room that we're using, which is on the 1st floor. Apparently it's described as the French restaurant. You will not be served croissant and coffee, unfortunately, but just to let you know, that's on the 1st floor. So I just want to thank everybody on the committee for their huge contribution this year, and to ask those of you who are in the room, I know it's a huge commitment joining the committee, but we do have an associates group, and sometimes the number of consultations that we're asked to comment on is just of such huge volume that it's wonderful if we have a group of people who register with us to be associates, so that we can call on you to help us at times when we're trying to respond to lots of consultations simultaneously. If you are interested in doing that, then I'm going to ask you if you would send an email to Courtney Rule at the BPS, just to indicate interest. It isn't a huge commitment, but it just means that we can draw on expertise. So if you let us know what your areas of expertise are, we can then contact you to join in a consultation. We're not asking you to lead on it, but just to contribute. And of course, anyone who's interested in joining the committee, do look out for advertisements for vacancies on the committee. I think we're entering 2017 as a profession that has a lot to offer. I think there's huge recognition every day in the media of the importance of psychology for children's mental health and well-being. In the news this morning, they're talking about looked after children and the relative merits of children's home versus foster homes, and I know that that's a topic that's frequently covered in the workshops at our conference. It just highlights to me the importance of us engaging in research and engaging in activities like today's conference and sharing good practice and making sure that the public are aware of us as a profession and what we have to contribute. So welcome, and I look forward to meeting lots of you over the course of today and tomorrow. And I'm now going to hand over to Gavin, who is going to introduce our first keynote speaker.